Welcome, dear listeners, to a peaceful journey into the realm of fairy tales. As we embark on this sleep story together, let us first take a moment to prepare our minds and bodies for a restful slumber. Find a comfortable position, whether lying down or seated, and gently close your eyes. Let the weight of the day lift from your shoulders as you release any tension you may be holding onto. Allow yourself to sink deeper into relaxation with each passing moment. Let's bring our awareness to our breath. Take a slow, deep inhale through your nose, feeling the coolness of the air as it fills your lungs. Hold it for a brief moment, and then exhale slowly through your mouth, releasing any lingering stress or worries. Let each breath become a gentle wave, washing away the cares of the day and inviting in a sense of calm and serenity. As we continue this rhythmic breathing, imagine yourself in a peaceful place of your choosing. Maybe it's a lush green forest, a calm beach at sunset, or perhaps a cozy cabin nestled in the mountains. Picture yourself surrounded by beauty and peace, feeling completely at ease in this tranquil setting. With each inhale, draw in the soothing energy of your surroundings, allowing it to fill you with a deep sense of peace and contentment. And with each exhale, let go of any thoughts or distractions that may be keeping you from fully embracing this moment of relaxation. As we prepare to embark on our sleep story journey, let us carry this sense of calm with us, allowing it to guide us gently into a state of restful sleep. Tonight, our story takes us to a small but lively town called Fenlock, a town renowned far and wide for its cobblestone streets and exquisite goods. At the heart of Fenlock stood the market square, a bustling hub of activity where townsfolk and travellers alike gathered. The square was lined with a variety of shops, each boasting a colourful awning and windows that displayed wares ranging from handcrafted jewellery to freshly baked bread. On market days, the square came alive with vendors selling their goods from stalls draped in vibrant cloths, their calls mingling with the laughter of children and the chatter of bargaining. However, towards the edge of town, a quaint little establishment stood quiet and empty. The shop belonged to a humble cobbler named Elias. Unfinished shoes scattered the shop floor, and his workbench became cluttered with tools laid down in frustration and materials left untouched. Elias found himself in dire straits. The people of Fenlock, enchanted by the allure of modern living, had slowly forgotten the artistry of handmade shoes. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the town, Elias sat in his workshop, surrounded by unfinished shoes and unpaid bills. His heart was heavy with worry, for he knew that without a miracle, he would soon have to close his doors forever. He placed some logs in the hearth and started a fire. Glancing across the room, he stared at his idle workbench that was now beginning to gather dust and cobwebs. "How will I save my shop?" he murmured to the empty room. As the clock struck midnight, Elias, overcome by exhaustion, laid his head down on his workbench and fell into a deep sleep. Little did he know, his shop was about to be graced by magic unseen in Fenlock for generations. From the shadows of the workshop emerged three tiny figures, no taller than a sparrow. Silas, the first to appear, stepped forward with a regal bearing, his silver hair catching the light, creating a halo around his head. His deep blue eyes scanned the workshop, saddened by the sight that lay before him. He sighed and said, "Such sorrow in a heart that crafts beauty." Next to appear was Theodora, her presence warm and comforting. She was shorter than Silas, with a lithe figure that moved with effortless grace. Her skin glowed with a soft, golden hue, and her eyes were the color of autumn leaves, rich and warm, always alight with a gentle kindness. She wore a tunic of soft, earthy browns, interwoven with threads of gold that caught the light with every movement. Around her waist was a belt of woven vines, from which hung small pouches and tools needed for her craft. She placed a hand upon Silas's shoulder "Let us lend our hands this night," she whispered, "and may our magic bring fortune anew," chimed a third voice. Calum was the last to appear. He was the spirit of the group, with an energy that danced like firelight. His vibrant green eyes sparkled with a mischievous gleam. He wore a tunic of vibrant reds and oranges, reminiscent of a sunset sky, with a cloak of deep purple that flowed behind him like a shadow. In the dim light of the workshop, their eyes, bright and deep, reflected a profound pity for the weary cobbler. They saw not just a man overwhelmed by his circumstances, but a soul dedicated to his craft, deserving of aid. Silas gestured silently to his companions. They understood, without words, the task at hand. They approached Elias's workbench with admiration. The first thing they did was organize the cluttered space, moving with such silence and efficiency that not a single tool made a sound. They sorted the leather, selecting pieces with the perfect texture and color. For each pair of shoes, they envisioned Theodora, with her warmth and nurturing spirit, whispered a blessing over the materials. Her hands glowed faintly as she touched each piece of leather, imbuing it with a subtle magic that would ensure comfort and durability beyond ordinary craftsmanship. She then began cutting the leather with precision, her movements graceful and assured. Calum's hands moved in a blur, stitching and shaping with a speed that seemed impossible. Yet, every motion was deliberate, every stitch infused with joy and a spark of magic that made the shoes more than just mere footwear. Throughout the night, the elves worked tirelessly. As the hours passed, the shelves began to fill with shoes of all shapes and sizes. Each pair of shoes shimmered gently with magic. By the break of dawn, the workshop was transformed. Where unfinished shoes had laid, now stood rows of the most exquisite footwear Fenlock had ever seen. From sturdy boots that held promise of adventures to distant lands, to delicate slippers, elegant enough to be worn on the feet of queens and princesses alike. As the morning rays of sunlight pierced through the shop window, Elias stirred and lifted his head from the bench. He rubbed his eyes and peered around the dim room. But even through his blurred sight, something felt different. The air carried a faint, unfamiliar scent, a blend of polished leather and something else, some kind of ancient magic. Blinking, Elias reached for the old lamp beside him, its flame long extinguished, and fumbled for a match. The strike of the match was a sharp crack in the quiet of the dawn, and as the wick caught fire, the light it cast was hesitant, growing bolder by the second. What it revealed took Elias's breath away. "What sorcery is this?" he gasped, his eyes wide with wonder. The shoes before him were unlike any he had ever seen. Each pair a masterpiece. For a moment, Elias could only stare. He rose unsteadily, his legs stiff from a night spent on the hard bench, and moved closer to the nearest shelf. His hands, rough and worn from years of labor, trembled as he reached out to touch the nearest pair of shoes. The leather was soft, yet durable. The stitches so fine, they seemed to have been made by fairy hands. And then it dawned on him. The tales his grandmother had told him of magical beings who aided those in need. Stories he had dismissed as fanciful dreams were true. They had come to his aid. These mysterious benefactors, leaving behind a treasure trove of craftsmanship that would surely save his shop from ruin. In the days that followed, news of the miraculous shoes spread like wildfire, drawing crowds that marveled and purchased with eagerness. By sunset of the second day, every pair had been sold, and Elias's fortunes were reversed. Determined to see the mysterious beings, Elias decided to stay awake the following night. As the clock chimed midnight once more, the elves appeared, and Elias watched in awe as they worked their magic. Moved by their kindness, he resolved to repay them. Over the next few days, Elias toiled away, crafting tiny garments and shoes fit for his elfin friends. As night fell, he laid out his gifts on the workbench, along with a note expressing his deepest gratitude. When the elves arrived and discovered the gifts, their hearts were touched by the cobbler's generosity. They donned their new clothes, marveling at the quality and care Elias had put into each piece. In return, they blessed Elias's workshop, ensuring that his shoes would always be sought after, bringing prosperity and joy to all who wore them. The elves visited one last time, leaving behind a pair of shoes for Elias, crafted from the magic of Fenlock itself. These shoes, they explained through a note of their own, would bring good fortune and protect him on his journey through life. Elias's shop became a legend in Fenlock, known far and wide as the home of the enchanted shoes. People from distant lands would travel to his door, seeking the comfort and magic his footwear promised. And though the elves never visited again, their presence was felt in every stitch and sole that left Elias's workshop. Years passed, and the tale of the enchanted cobbler and his tiny helpers became a cherished story, told to inspire kindness, gratitude, and the belief in magic. Elias never forgot the elves who had saved his shop, and often left gifts on his workbench, just in case they ever decided to return.